So I applied for a Pixar internship back in high school. I didn't get it. Maybe I should call him now. Hey, I'm Zach King, and this is Tik Tok Support. Chira Racer asks, how do I make good TikTok content? That is a great question. I am still trying to figure that out, but I don't think about it from the platform standpoint. For me, I try to make it kind of evergreen. When my team and I are approaching a concept, maybe we're tackling a fear, for example, which is everyone in the world has a list of fears, and so it's really universal. So I'll tap into those fears and then write something that still lands on a humorous side, maybe has a funny twist ending. They should work on any platform. Sexy Queen Beezy asks, how do you edit your video clips? With what software? It's just awesome. Thank you, appreciate that. There's a whole array of video software that you can use. It ranged from what I started with Final Cut Pro version 2 and all the way up into After Effects, Nuke. There's a whole range. For us, we use dozens and dozens. It depends on what the specific need is. One Zach King video may have 12 different softwares, a whole dozen, where it's like you need something with Cinema 4D or you're using Maya. And it depends what each video concept requires. But my favorite videos are the ones that don't actually require editing. They're the ones where you actually take that post-production and put it up front. So what that looks like is, I made a camping video with my kids indoors, and it was like, how do you transition from a camping tent inside your house into a beautiful vista view on a mountain range? And we accomplished that by building a house set in a living room on top of a mountain. That's how you do it, and there's zero editing. So those are my favorite concepts, where you move the editing into the pre-production. Fabio asks, what hardware and OS are used in VFX and animation studios? I've been curious about what the big VFX and animation studios like ILM and Digital Domain and Pixar and Disney use to create the realistic and magical masterpieces. Anybody here who could help? There are special softwares that different studios use. A lot of companies have developed their own internal softwares. You have Pixar that use RenderMan. You have ILM that uses some of their own stuff, as well as I think they use Nuke. When they get so niche, they start developing their own systems because they have their own workflows and needs. And that way they can be coding and updating, especially in animation, the different simulations that are changing all the time. So I applied for a Pixar internship back in high school. I didn't get it. Maybe I should call him now, but I always wanted to get my hands on RenderMan. I was like, how is Pixar making such photorealistic stuff? It's completely mind-blowing. Requia_H asks, are there any other apps that let you do quick video editing similar to TikTok? This might be a bummer to a lot of people who think that I use TikTok to edit. I have never used TikTok to edit. They have some cool effects, but I just don't personally use them. There are other apps. I know I've used Lightricks and Video Leap. Those are great apps, and it's amazing what you can do like in the power of your pocket. Back when I was saving up for Final Cut Pro, this software that literally came in a box this big, it cost me like $1,200 or $1,300 from the Apple Store to buy that, and now you have free apps like TikTok that you can just download and edit. It doesn't have like all the same power, but it's pretty darn crazy. At Camera Persona asks, do you think you could have done a better de-aging job than what they did in Irishman? I watched that film with my wife on Netflix, and for the first 20 minutes, I was just like, is it makeup? And I didn't notice from a VFX standpoint. It didn't bother me at all. And I know what that team did to create the Irishman effect. What they did is they filmed with 3 cameras, and what you do is you have the main hero camera in the center, you have 2 witness cameras, they're off to the side, and really all their purpose of those 2 cameras is to capture data. The actors in The Irishman didn't want to wear tracker marks. Martin Scorsese wanted to be natural on set. They didn't want to do green screen, like they do Avatar with the little, the tracker balls and looks like golf ping pong balls all over them and suits. They wanted to be on set, and that's why you have these 2 cameras on the side capturing all the data for the face so you can do the replacements. I think they did an incredible job. At Local Yikes says, I just found out I'm technically Gen Z and I don't know how to handle this. Should I download TikTok? Can I still like avocado toast? Send help. If you're Gen Z and you're not on TikTok or you haven't gotten it, that's okay, because you should do what you like. If it's scrolling on TikTok, then awesome, try it out. For me, I love apps that give me a little inspiration, and TikTok's one of those apps. Vine was one of those apps where I go on and I'll just like or bookmark a post if it gives me just a little thought, an idea. And what I enjoy about TikTok is when you do that enough, it starts to learn, pretty quickly, and it feeds you different videos based on that. So I've enjoyed my creative rabbit trails that TikTok has led me down. But if you still haven't given avocado toast a try, you do have to do that. That is on the list. That is my Saturday morning breakfast. At Hey It's Clay says, at TikTok US, how do you apply for the Creators Fund? Literally today, the day I'm making this video, they just launched the Creator Fund. I think you have to have over 10,000 followers and you have to have the account for 30 days. You also have to have had a certain amount of views. I believe it's 10,000 views as well. But verify, fact check that one for me. Not many platforms have partner programs to begin with. You still have Facebook and Instagram that are still not quite, helping the creators out as much as they could. I hope the fund works out awesome. I hope it turns into a full-on partner program for TikTok. I think that's incredible for the creator ecosystem. I'm excited. At Cruising Control asks, anyone on here a TikTok expert? Maybe. How do I trim a video in my drafts? It's out of sync with the audio / hashtag I'm a boomer. From Vine days till TikTok, I always have to upload. Back when it was Vine, there was a program workaround and you had to type a line of code or something to upload it in this janky thing. With an iPod Touch it only worked with. So I'll be honest, I don't know how to do this on TikTok, but if you take another program, let's take Premiere or Final Cut X, for example. Put it in your timeline and you'll move over the audio. Just make sure you can uncheck that layer and move it over. But there's also great software now that'll sync it for you. This might be overkill for your problem, but you can look up a program like Pluralize, which just at a click of a button basically just syncs up all your audio. I wish you the best. At Rank Up Official says, I didn't know editing videos was so difficult. We have a whole new respect for content creators. Thank you. Y'all deserve that cash flow. Oh, cool, thank you. Hey, can anyone throw us some advice? Finally, someone realizes how difficult it is to be a content creator. So editing is very difficult. I've been editing for 15 years, but one thing that makes editing way better is the better you're at planning, the better the shoot is, the better the edit. It's magical in that you can rearrange things however you want, and if something didn't work on set, that's great. But the more that you're planning, especially for my videos where it requires very little editing, it's because a lot of our thought went into the pre-production, and the more time you're putting in there and focusing and planning out, it actually cuts out of the editing time significantly. So, start your editing way up front in pre-production. At Asfarovsky asks, can I edit my videos on TikTok? I mean, it's unprofessional, but hey, TikTok is actually a powerful editing tool. I totally agree. TikTok is one of those platforms, like many others, where you're given the tools on your phone. I mean, I think that's incredible power. And what I love about it is that anybody, whether you're an 80-year-old grandma or a young kid, you can go on and you can get inspired to become maybe a filmmaker. Maybe it's something that gets you to be a dancer. I don't know, but I love that there's tools on these apps that are powerful, but also getting people to create. And I think that's the key. And when in the future, we're going to see some of the best apps are going to be the ones that provide the tools for the creators, like a whole range of really in-depth tools. At Aldi Yusolfa asks, how does Zach King edit his videos so flawlessly? I'm telling you, the keys that are completely worn off on my keyboard are the right arrow, left arrow, because we'll just me and my editing team, just sit and scrub between frames just to make sure it's perfect and massage the heck out of them. It takes hours and hours of just sitting, focusing on each pixel. That's how they're flawless, is just the intense focus. Also, not being afraid to reshoot. I'll shoot these videos multiple times, almost every single time now, because there'll be something off. There'll either be a different story beat that we need to hit, or I didn't match my freeze. It's as simple as that. Don't be afraid to fail and get back on set and reshoot. At DX Emmers asks, how do I upload to TikTok and IG from my PC? I would want to say, let me Google that for you, but I do know the answer. You can go up to the right-hand corner, you can click this little cloud icon button, at least for TikTok, and then hit upload. I think Instagram's is up there too. Just make sure you're logged in, hit that little cloud, and then it'll walk you through the upload process. At Whoopergill asks, does anyone know what app / website people use to make old photos more clear? People on TikTok were using something like Early Spring, and I don't know what it was. I'm not familiar with these softwares that you can use, but I do know if you have Photoshop, the either mobile version or the version on your desktop, it's really powerful software. And for photos, you can go on there and just change and filter and edit, learn to do some editing for those photos. And for if you're doing video stuff, you could download a program like After Effects and just adjust the color. At It's Vivieri asks, I finally downloaded TikTok and OMG, I'm overwhelmed. How to use this app? Let me answer that for you. I felt a little bit of the similarities when I first logged on. All you have to do is go on that For You page and just like what you like, or hit, not interested or favorite stuff, and it'll actually rather quickly, it'll serve you all the videos it thinks you'll enjoy, and you'll be on a bunch of happy rabbit trails. At Mooney Alex asks, how do I have almost 8,000 followers on TikTok and then only get 18 views on a video I posted 50 minutes ago? Make it make sense. Okay, this is a different platform. The ratio of 8,000 followers to 18 views, isn't terribly off, but it's a little low compared to a platform like YouTube or Instagram. What you notice about TikTok is I have like 47, 48 million followers. And when I post a video, it might only get like 1 million views in the first day because they're gating it. So what it's doing in the algorithm is going through a process of saying, like, small group of people, what do they think of it? Does it have high watch time? Are people liking it, engaging it, sharing it with a friend? And then if it likes that, it'll send it out to more people. And the algorithm will say, oh, it's working really well, sending out to more. It's a pro and a con of TikTok. It's a pro because if you do have a video that gets through those gates and it shoots it out everywhere, and you'll have 60 million views on that thing. But it's also a con because it doesn't feel like it's going out to everyone right away. At Laura RVK says, my cat has 23K followers on TikTok. How do I monetize this? All right, I have some advice for you, Laura. Don't monetize it yet. I know as tempting as it is, and as amazing as 23,000 followers is, congratulations by the way, don't monetize it yet. You can actually turn this into a long tail thing if you figure out your cat's niche. It may sound weird to a lot of people, but cats can have careers on the internet. Take Grumpy Cat, take Aaron's Animals. There's tons of cats that have internet personalities and make money doing it. What I suggest is grow the account, and during that time, iterate on a ton of different content. And this is, I'm assuming, like, if you're interested in filmmaking or being a content creator, do this. If not, just kind of let your cat live in fame, or maybe just do one brand deal. What the heck, might as well just sell out. But I recommend you don't. At Michael Online says, Zach King, do you create your own visual effects or do you have help from your VFX team? How long does it create to make a post? I have a large team that I work with, some in-house, a big freelance team, and it's not just me doing the VFX anymore. It would be way too much work for the amount of videos that we're putting out. But I have to give massive thanks to my VFX team, and I also have to give massive thanks to my writing team, but the production team as well, because again, they're also pre-producing some of these in the front end, and a lot of them don't require as much editing because we can do that. So it's a mix. Like, I have an amazing team around me that help make these videos possible. How long does it take to create? Anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. It's a massive range. It just depends. For example, one of my videos was about a miniature house. I had a house this big and a little mailbox this small. And the concept was I leave the house and I walk over and I take out the mail and I realize everything's small, and then I turn around and the house is also small, and you're just like, wait, what's going on? And that video took us over a year to make, mostly just of the logistics, finding the right lawn. We needed a lawn that had a certain grade. It was like 1.5 inch grade every foot that had to change, but also had to have the right lighting. That took a year mostly for planning. And then we have same day videos where it's like we'll actually film it on a phone and just jump into an elaborate set that can rotate, and that's how we're able to pull it off in a day. In that case, I guess it's just handy to say you have a room that can rotate. At OMG It's Parker asked, I'm confused, like, how do people even begin to do this? They got TikTok plus or something? Okay, Julian Bass, I have to say, is really cool. I think he's gonna be a really talented creator in the long run if he sticks with stuff on the internet. I actually just met him on DMs after this video came out. And I remember he was trying to get the attention of Disney, and he did that. I mean, Bob Iger retweeted the video or left a comment saying this kid's going places. This is a great example of a TikTok because it had like good music and it felt high energy. But also, it goes out to props to Julian and people like him who are just expressive and are fun to watch, and you can tell he's just got a good energy about him and charisma. There's a little combination that make good TikToks like this. At John Clay Allen asks, how are you guys listing your original TikTok content on your CVs? I don't know. I've never made a resume other than the time I applied to Pixar, and that didn't get me anywhere. So, but to be fair, my work was pretty bad back then. I think what John might be hinting at in the question is your work getting you your next job, or how does that work? Always make sure you're making your best work. You don't have to be a perfectionist about it, but go really hard. And part of that is making sure you're filming stuff, or I'm assuming you're a filmmaker, you're shooting or editing stuff that you really love doing. I love these photographers, for example, on TikTok, who are showing their tutorial behind the scenes process, because simply they're showing the behind the scenes. Find clever ways to put that on TikTok and showcase your talent. At Hugh Tang Clan 95 asks, how do I go viral on TikTok? I just want a taste of my 15 minutes. He's talking about the 15 minutes of fame. I don't think you should be focusing on going viral or becoming famous. The people I meet doing that are usually making content that isn't up to par for a long-term career on the internet. Here's a simple way. People always say, how do I find my passion? Look at the stuff you're doing from 4 in the afternoon when you're out of work or 5 in the afternoon till the evening. Maybe it's building Legos, and you can share that with the world. Actually, there's a lot of creative ways you could show your builds. I don't see why you can't do it on other platforms like TikTok. So C. Promatum asked, what equipment do you use for night shoots? Any special editing techniques? There's actually a couple reasons I don't do night shoots. One, it requires my cameras to have a lot of light on set. So I'm using, a couple different 3K lights just to light up the scene, but then you're attracting bugs. You're getting mosquitoes in the frame, and I can't have that because I'd have to remove them each frame. So that actually, you'll look in my content, if you scrub through, you just notice it's all in the day. That's one of the reasons why. But I've done one favorite video that was a prison break. It was like an escape and using a fun silhouette of the giant spotlight, and that was one of my favorite night shoots that I've done. At Tina Reyes asks, anyone know what the resolution is for TikTok on editing programs? So what I do, to keep it the same for TikTok and Instagram, I just do 1080 by 1920. It's the 1920 by 1080, just opposite. As far as what I'm shooting in, it changes. It could be 8K, 4K, it could be 1920 by 1080, some sort of HD, it could be on the phone. In the final export settings for TikTok or Instagram, I keep it the same. It's just 1080 by 1920. That way, based on any phones that have different sizes, they won't add to the top, but they will crunch it down. At Jung Gixmani asks, anyone in TikTok know how to fix these issues when you lip sync an audio and it uploads unsynced? Keeps happening to me. That's gotta be annoying. I'm sorry that's happening. I don't know what to tell you in terms of the TikTok program. What I'd recommend is taking it into a program like Premiere, or even try iMovie on your phone or some included app, and just see if you can separate the layers and move them around. At Film Mad Finn asks, quick things. I'm just looking at VFX animation and editing. Does anyone know any free software that's really good to learn on? That's a good question. I'm not up to date on what's currently the best software that's free. I do know if you're into animation, Blender's still out there, and we even use Blender on the team here. That's one of the first 3D softwares I ever used because it was open software, so that means any developers can help develop it and change the programming, or you can build a custom, built-in program for it. But it's great because it's free, and I love that. In terms of VFX editing, I'm not sure what's out there, but I do know it's really cheap to get like the Adobe Cloud. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I'm just saying, I think it's maybe student discounts, $15 or $20. Professionals, I think $30 a month. So just download Adobe and give it the free trial for 30 days. See if you like it. At Sad Kid Rome asks, I want to have an editing skill, but Zach King said it may take up to 8 years. But worth it, right? I've been now editing for 15 years, and I would say it's totally worth it if you love it. But editing is one of the things that you kind of have to have a personality type where you're comfortable being alone, and I enjoy just being in my office, and I could do it for 14, 15 hours a day. I love it that much. So if you think you have that and you can just chill by yourself, then you might be a great editor. The infamous CPA asks, serious question, are people just super cold with video editing, or does TikTok just have some dope features, or is it a combo of both? I think it is a combo of both. The cool thing about what TikTok does with its editing features or its filters, and even duetting and being able to share content within the app, or make your version of that meme, that's really a power of TikTok. Now, what I do is I just upload my videos, and so that's why I think there's a combo. There's creators making stuff offline, throwing it up, and there's creators recreating based off stuff on TikTok and doing it all within the app, and I'd say it's a combo. At Daniel Dunks asked, how are people so funny and creative on TikTok? I think, one, people can be funny on any platform, but I love that TikTok has created its own culture for some of the humor that it does, and meme reviews and memes of memes and duets on TikTok. Since the algorithm's going crazy and sending all kinds of new videos everywhere, I think it allows you to think a little creatively and think I don't need to have a limitation here. I'm just gonna try this and maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll resonate with people. So I think the app has freed up a lot of creatives to try out different things, and that's what TikTok's got going for it. So I hope that was helpful and you got some answers for your TikTok questions. If you have more, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.